what transpired with him being, we used a good word, or you used a good word called assassinated.
He was assassinated.
Yeah, in broad daylight. You know, he was trying to build up the community, and then this punk ass dude comes and takes him out. Yeah. You know what I mean? Just for no rhyme or no reason. You know, Nipsey Hussle, I'm from LA. And when you go back into the neighborhood, you see that he was making an impact. You know, his place on Crenshaw and Slauson, the Marathon Clothing. Well, he turned that whole shopping center into a viable place where people can come and shop and eat. You know, he's turning things around, and then at 33 years old, his life is snuffed out. And it just, you know, it really bothers me that someone who started off as a Crip became an entrepreneur, and he didn't run from his neighborhood. He tried to build it up. Wow. And he did it with boots on the ground. You know, he did it by being in the community and starting something and employing people. You know, he was at the store. When he got shot, he was at the store helping this guy out who just got out of prison. You know what I mean? Because sometimes, and he was going to give this guy some gear. You know, he was going to hook him up with some money in his pocket. He was going to do these things that he does for a lot of people. He has saved a lot of people's lives in the neighborhood. He was getting different gangs together in the neighborhood. He was bringing them together. A lot of stuff we don't know about what this man was doing in the community, and it was all taken away in a matter of moments. And it just pisses me off. You know what I mean? Because obviously this dude, Eric Holder, that shot him has to be deranged, has to be out of his mind. You know, we know murder takes place in America quite a bit. This is not nothing new. America's a violent country. But when an individual decides that he's going to turn his life around and he's going to do good for the community and it's snuffed out like that, you know, how come some of them other niggas, that, you know, how come some of them, the ones that, you know, ain't doing nothing and detriment and a menace to society, how come they wasn't taken out? Now, I'm not advocating, obviously, I don't want nobody taken out. But what I'm saying is, when a good man, when LeBron James said he can't even eat that day, when Magic Johnson tweets all day long about how sad he was that Nipsey Hussle, when Russell Westbrook wears Crenshaw t-shirt to the game, and then he goes 20-20-20. Russell Westbrook went 20 points, 20 rebounds, 20 assists, and he said that was from Nipsey. And everybody know that that's 60 Rolling Crips. And he did that for him, and he was emotional about things because he was in business with Nipsey. Nipsey was a man that put not just his money where his mouth is, he also put his body in line trying to help people out. He's an advocate. He was assassinated. He was shot down in cold blood right in the heart of the city. And so a lot of, you know, initially people, especially here where we are in this doggone bubble, you know, I hear some people say, well, I didn't understand what Russ was doing last night. What was he talking about? And then I tried to explain who Nipsey Hussle is, and then they said, oh, he just another rapper shot. And, you know, pisses me off. He's not just another rapper. Come on now. You know, he's more than that. He was an advocate for people. He was a hustler for people. He was showing people how to do things correctly. He had to wait 4 years to get his clothing business going. Many times when he was getting his clothing business, the police were coming in there, stopping him, thinking that he was up to no good. But you know what? He had his eye on the prize, and the prize, he was going to build up an empire right in the middle of the city. Right in the middle of the heartland. And he went through all kinds of trials and tribulations to get that thing off the ground. But guess what? It was an oasis in the middle of the ghetto. It was an oasis right off of Crenshaw and Slauson.
It's sad because, you know, so many times we get the stereotype as black men that we are ruthless and worthless and not trying to better ourselves. But you have a brother here that's going out, actually going into the community, not leaving, not getting rich and famous and just jetting off, like you said, but actually is staying in his community where he knows the people and is trying to help people. And is trying to provide resources. You told me about, you know, business school or learning how to do carpentry or just whatever. You know, he provided that. He made the means for that. And I think I think so much of that's missing. We don't give enough of our African-American men credit when they're trying to do that stuff. Instead, we rag on them. I remember the president was going after LeBron James, you know, and, you know, because LeBron James had some comments about the president, some things he didn't like. Like most of us don't like some of the shit that he does. And he said something about it, and the president dogged him out. And even the media jumped on board to dog him out. And LeBron James was trying to do some of the school that he built with these kids and all this stuff. But paying back in the community, man, I think it's so important.
Yeah, so important. Even the mayor had, it was real touching because he knew the impact that was going on. And one of the things he was afraid of was retaliation. And that's why this guy was caught so fast. Now, we know the driver of the car, it was a lady, she said she didn't know that they were going there to do that because this guy had been at the store before and he worked with Nipsey. But Nipsey said he was a snitch, that he wasn't no good. And so and then he came back and did that. But the lady, she was told that they were just going back to the store. When he jumped in the car, she said she was startled and drove off. But when she got back to Bellflower, that's where they headed to Bellflower, then she called the police and turned herself in and gave up this guy. And then they released her. So, yeah, it's amazing that sometime we celebrate people that are true gangsters and don't turn themselves around, and all they do in the community is sell drugs to us, you know, to us and intimidate and extort and do all that in the community. This man said, "Nah, I wasn't right in the beginning, but I'm right now." But they said he always was like this. He was always a giving guy. He was always in the middle. They said that the school, his junior high school, would allow him to get on the intercom and tell everybody have a great day. Today's going to be a good day. That's the kind of infectious, you know, personality that man had. So it bothers me when we don't understand the impact individuals are making, and a lot of times you don't get the notoriety, which is what I'm basically trying to say. When you do things, you might not get the notoriety. Now, if you went out to rob a bank, everybody be talking about Teller. You know what I mean? Right, absolutely. But if you're going to clean up the bank, nobody's going to be talking about that. Absolutely. So those are the things that in this society that we have to deal with. So I say rest in peace, Nip. You'll never be forgotten. I believe that your legacy will go forever because you got some tracks that you laid down that nobody's ever going to forget. And I believe that his spirit is infectious. I believe it's going to get on other people. And I believe we're never going to give up. I don't care what the system has in store for us to fail. We will never fail. We will always keep on going forward.
Absolutely, absolutely.
What has happened with this lady? She says she's sick, took a leave of absence, couldn't take the heat, so she ran and got out of the kitchen while people are dying on the street. She's fat in her pocket. That's all I'm saying. Right. You know, where's the accountability? And guess what? More than likely, she'll get her hand slapped and walk away just like all other politicians, and nothing's going to happen to her. The people suffer in the street. That's why we're always talking about the haves and the have-nots. That's why we're always talking about the people that got things and they can put their kids in school, and your kid can work just as hard and not get in school because you don't have $300,000 to give to the university as a way of getting your kid in. Well, here we have a black mayor. You know, she's 69 years old. Okay. She's old enough to know that what she's doing is going to leave a mark on the kids. Here she's writing kids' books, and this is what... This is psychologically going to mess with the kids more than eating a damn apple. You know what I mean? They're going to see this lady. President Obama didn't have scandals. So when our young people are looking at President Obama, they looked at a man with integrity and no scandals and no adultery and nothing like that took place in his administration. They wasn't handcuffing people and taking them to jail in his administration. So no matter if you don't like his politics, you got to like his dispensation. You've got to like how he was. And so our kids look at him and go, that was a decent man that was president of the United States. But here you got a mayor of Baltimore who's supposed to be representing this chocolate town, and she's just as corrupt as any other politician.
You know, it's funny you mentioned Obama stuff, and I was thinking about it. I'm being real with it. You know, we're real with it all. And you got you got black people in powerful positions. And I thought about Jussie Smollett again, just to bring him up, because there was this whole thing that caught some backlash because somebody said that he was experiencing black privilege, and because of his black privilege, somehow that got him off the hook. Well, I kind of mentioned that in talking to you about that. And you were like, no, that's not black privilege. That's just because he's got that money. You got somebody in power that's bailing his ass out of the situation.
Right.
And we know there was apparently the Obama somehow got involved. Michelle got involved with it. But the point is if you're in a position of power and privilege, a lot of times you get away with stuff that us regular folk can't get away with.
Right.
And then we suffer the consequences. Let me cheat on my taxes.
Right.
Let me not pay that fine. Let me do something wrong. And my black ass will be sitting in jail.
Right. And yeah, absolutely.
Right.
And you don't see these contracts that these individuals are getting to, that, you know, they manipulate their way into power, and you're wondering why the haves have more. And you're wondering, well, why are y'all broken? Why are y'all so frustrated and commit crimes and all this other stuff? Because if you're honest in some cases, I'm not trying to be a cynic, but if you're honest in some cases, you can't make the breakthroughs because you can't pad people's pocket. Absolutely. And that's a reality right there.
That's a reality. And so, you know, Baltimore keeps on having these problems with these elected officials and stuff.
Yes, a history.
Because there's no cleaning of the house. There's no full, deep cleaning that needs to take place. And it's sad, because you know who suffers? Black folk. They suffer most.
Yes.
And that's the real black on black crime.
Absolutely. You know, they elected her because of her stance with Freddie Gray, with Michael Douglas. Wall Street. Mm-hmm. Go hang out with Gordon Geico or Greco, whatever the hell his name was. Go hang out with him, and he was all about the Benjamins. He was all about money. That's what, don't be a public servant if you're about money. Mm. You're supposed to be serving us. There's a community out there that needs people, and we're taking advantage of poor people, and then we actually got people that get on their high horse and talk about poor people that don't want to pull up their bootstraps. Well, the system is so corrupt, it's so strained, and so it takes miracles for individuals to get out of the poverty and the system and that poverty pill that has been given to us.
Absolutely. Fam, all my listeners out there listening to Being Real With It, we appreciate y'all listening and tuning in. We want to remind you guys to subscribe. Leave us always some comments. It really helps us out if you leave us some stars on iTunes. If you listen to iTunes, you know, for reviews and stuff like that, leave us some reviews. It goes a long way. But let's wrap this thing up, Double Nickel. I was looking into the religious rights of death row inmates, all right? There was a couple of cases that caught my eye. One came out of Texas. It was this individual, he's a Buddhist, and he's on death row. Well, he's supposed to get executed, and he wanted to have his Buddhist priest come in there with him in the death chamber. Well, the Texas federal prison there said, no, it's not happening. On staff, they have a Christian, you know, and they have a Muslim. And so they have the imam and the priest, but they don't have like a priest for the Buddhists. And so this case went all the way up to Supreme Court. And you know, with the Supreme Court now turning mostly conservative now, you got Brett Kavanaugh, the decision really came from him. And he said, actually, no, stay the execution. You have to provide him a priest. If we're going to be tolerant towards Christianity and Islam, we got to also be tolerant towards all religions. So the thing is kind of interesting is you've got a lot of the conservatives, a lot of right-wingers that actually supported this decision, surprisingly, because most of the time, you know, they kind of get on the bandwagon of, you know, whatever the right says is right. No pun intended. But anyways, they supported this. So the guy got his priest in there before he can get executed. Well, there was another case of a Muslim man out of Alabama, but he put in a plea as well, got up to the Supreme Court, but the decision came back that it was too late, that he knew this was coming up, and he knew he wasn't going to get nobody, his imam, in the death chamber with him, and he put in a request too late, and he was just trying to push off the execution, so they denied him that. Now, some people said, if you look between the two cases, the Buddhist is a white guy, and the Muslim is a black dude. But there's argument to go around to say that, well, the Supreme Court has decided in favor of many black Muslims before. For instance, there was a case, I believe in Arkansas, where there was a Muslim, they wouldn't allow him to grow his beard. He wanted to grow a short beard for religious reasons. And the prison has a law in place that you can't have any facial hair. Well, it went up to Supreme Court, and they said, no. You have to allow him, for his religious purposes, to grow his beard. So there's really arguments to be made that it might not have to do with race. It's just more of a sort of a dissent and decision argument based on the laws and how they interpret those laws. But there was another thing that came up, and this is what I want to talk about, because that was interesting. But then I ran across this one here too. There's an inmate, and his name is Russell Bucklew, and he was out of Missouri. He's a death row inmate in Missouri. Well, his thing is that he has a rare medical condition where he has these tumors in his neck, and he's supposed to be killed by lethal injection. Well, his case he was trying to make with his lawyers was that if the lethal injections go in, it would cause those tumors to burst. And the lawyer decided that would be cruel and inhumane punishment because he would be choking on his own blood. But I was thinking, Double Nickel, now this asshole killed somebody, murdered somebody. And now we've got to figure out how we can best put him down for his comfort. He's going to die anyways. He's on death row. He knows what he's done. I'm not saying that he shouldn't have like a last rites or a priest or something, or his last meal, but damn, he is about to get executed anyways. Now we got to worry about, do we need to put him to sleep nice and comfortable? He didn't worry about that when he took out the person he took out 22 years ago. And so I thought about that. I wanted to ask your opinion on that. What do you think about that, Double Nickel? There's the talk about when it comes to execution, which really comes up a lot because, Kamala Harris right now is talking about she wants to abolish the federal execution. And she wants to get rid of execution. So it's a hot topic right now. But I want to ask you, what do you think about that, man? I mean, cruel and inhumane punishment, or, hey, they're on death row, they know what happened.
Yeah, if you went through the whole process, what is it called, where you...
The appeals?
The appeals. Right. You went through the appeals. Right. You went through everything. And your butt's still guilty and you're still on death row and they did it. And you've been there for 8 years. It's time, as one Robin Harris, a comedian, used to say, gotta go, gotta go, gotta go. And he said, if I gotta pull the trigger, I'll pull the level down, the lever down to take them out. Right. You know what I mean? And cruel and unpunishment. If you killed somebody, you murdered somebody, you didn't have mercy on them.
You sure did.
Right. So I don't get the part. I mean, we are executing someone anyway. Right. You know what I mean? What if it's a firing squad or throw them in the lion's den? You know what I mean? It's still an execution. Yeah. You know what I mean? And if it hurts too damn bad. Hey y'all, guess what? We're coming to our 50th episode. Next week will be fitting. Fitting. We've made it that far. We're over 1,200 downloads. We're moving forward. We want to thank y'all for what we're doing. But guess what? We are going to tweak some things in our new format. We're going to give you the best of what we have. It's going to be exciting. The next 50 is going to be so exciting. This is being real with it. We believe that we have something to say. We believe that this bubble that we're in is in trouble because we're going to keep talking and we're going to keep saying what we got to say because we're two niggas that don't give a damn.
Hey everybody, like Double Nickel said, 50 episodes. Thanks to you all that are listening, family out there. We appreciate you. Hey, just want to remind everybody, if you're listening to us on iTunes, if you leave us stars and leave us some reviews, it will go a long way in helping boost our podcast to the top of their charts. Also, we're on multiple platforms right now. You can find us on Stitcher. You can find us on Spotify. You can find us on Play Google Music. Almost any and all platforms we're out there. Also, a quick reminder, check out our latest podcast series, or I like to call it a patio book. It's called Alabama's Rebirth, How Devon Davis Became the First Black Governor of Alabama. It's a story, dialogue. It's like listening to an audio book. It'll be a lot of fun. I think you'll enjoy it. It's a historical fictional thriller. It'll get you kicks listening to it. We appreciate you and love you, fam. See you next time.